Hello, my wonderful and lovely humans. So, on today's episode of Ms. Reyes Biology, anyways, I'm clearly at home, right? So, it's entirely possible that my cats will come in and interrupt us. So, you know how it goes. Deal with it. And it's always a little bit of fun. So, let me go ahead and switch my. Oh, wait. Haha. Let's talk about what we're doing first. So today you guys are taking some notes on plant and animal cells. You guys should have received a full page of paper, but you should have like a distinct top and bottom half. The top half, I do believe that I put the animal cell on top. And the reason you're going to know the animal cell is not because there's an animal written here, but instead because this is a circular shape. Okay. And that's difference number one you should note about the differences between these two. But anyways, as I was saying, one of these is very much more a circle, and the other one, on the other hand, is very much more of a rectangle or a square, okay? So that rectangular square is actually what is known as a plant cell, all right? So you guys can go ahead and write those titles just to get ourselves started. But we will be talking about our animal cell first. So let's go ahead and flip our camera. I know I'm acting weird, whatever. Okay, so animal cells. Let's do it. Okay, so I think, what do I want to do here? Let's start by first naming all of these structures, because actually when I was doing this like the first time, like this was like only my, okay, if I'm being totally honest, this is my fourth time recording this video. I always record them more than once when I'm at home. I don't know why, don't ask me. Okay, as I was saying, we're gonna go ahead and name these structures first because we're gonna name drop them in different areas. So let's start over here with this purple structure. This purple structure is gonna be called the nucleus. The nucleus, okay? And like I said, don't worry too much about what's underneath here. We're gonna come back to that in a second. Let's just name the structures first. So this big guy over here is the nucleus. Now we're gonna move over here to this little red guy. Now these little red guys over here, they are what is known as centrioles. Okay. If we continue to move down, we will see that these guys over here, the little pancake looking blueberry filled thingies, I don't know. This stuff over here is what is known as the rough ER. Okay, rough ER. And what I'd like to point out right now while we're looking at it is that rough ER in this assignment is often referred to as RER, but it's going to mean the same thing, okay? It's going to refer to as rough ER. So I just want to make that note. You guys make that note as well. If we continue to move on, we're going to be talking about our cell membrane. So as you can see, it's kind of defined by this black line surrounding our animal cell. So we're going to go ahead and write that down here. Cell membrane. Okay. Next, we are gonna go ahead and discuss this yellow substance that's kind of surrounding everything. And that yellow substance is what is known as cytoplasm. All right, cytoplasm. Next, we got this little bean looking thing over here. And this guy is what's known as the mitochondria. And that's a big word. Mitochondria. If we continue moving up, over here, we'll see these little blueberries that are actually also looped in within our rough ER, but those little blueberries are what is known as ribosomes. Ribosome. Okay. Continuing on, over here are pancake stacks that are not linked together like these guys. This pancake stack is going to be known as the Golgi body. What does that mean? I literally have no clue. I've been asking myself that for years and years and years. And honestly, I've never actually looked for the answer. So maybe I should look that up. Okay. We'll take that under advisement. Maybe later. Anyways, this is the Golgi body. It's always just been something that like I really held on to because like it's just such a weird name. I don't know. Anyways, okay, next up over here, this little I don't know, it kind of looks like a blue cookie. I don't know, I think Cookie Monster might like it. This guy is known as the lysosome. Lysosome. And this is just like a little accidental squiggle. Don't worry about it. So the lysosome, and then finally over here, what we have up here is what's known as the smooth ER. So these structures are very similar to each other, but the main difference is this one's considered rough and this one's considered smooth. And as you can see, it's because this one over here has a whole bunch of little blueberries attached to it, whereas this guy over here, just nice and sleek, right? So just like the rough ER is referred to as RER, the smooth ER will be referred to as the SER. So we're going to go ahead and make that note as well. All right, now that we've identified all of our structures, because like I said, we're going to name drop as we kind of move around here. Let's start back over at the nucleus. Oh, I guess if you need to pause the video, pause the video. I always forget to do that. Okay, so as I was saying, let's go back to this nucleus over here. Let's talk about what that nucleus actually is. Let me zoom in so that way you guys can see for sure. All right, the nucleus is going to contain our DNA. And if you guys think back to, I don't know, Lulu or like, there's a whole bunch of stuff that we did. We did a whole bunch of stuff. DNA is going to be the genetic basis for all of our information. It's going to tell us what we look like. It's going to tell us how we act. Well, sometimes. It's going to tell us how old we can be. It can tell us what we're going to look like when we're a certain age, this and that. It's going to tell us we look a little bit more like our maternal parents as opposed to our paternal parents. You know, all those things, right? So DNA is super important and it's being contained within this nucleus. And that's kind of important here because when that nucleus, or sorry, when the DNA is in the nucleus, it's actually being protected. So that nucleus, the nucleus is going to control, going to control the cell's activities. It has pores and what is known as a nucleolus. Just want to make sure I'm spelling that right. Okay, the nucleus contains the DNA and it controls the cell's activities. It has pores and what is known, those are my cats. They're chasing each other around. Sorry, zoomies. It has pores and what's known as a nucleolus. So you guys can kind of see those pores where those gaps are at around this big circle. But the nucleolus is over here in this orange. And you know what? Let me try to like match up those colors. Boom. Okay. So the nucleolus is this guy over here. And the nucleolus is going to kind of act like a teeny tiny little brain. It's kind of telling everybody, well, this is what you're doing. This is when you're doing it. And this is how you're going to do it. So these two things, the DNA and the nucleolus, are going to be very important. And we're going to have to want to provide a little bit of extra protection. And that's kind of why we got a second barrier. Since we're talking about barriers and protection, let's actually skip down here to the cell membrane for a second. Because what does the cell membrane do? Well, I hope that you guys learned from our last assignment, or maybe like assignment, I don't know. We'll see what we end up with. The cell membrane is going to be this flexible layer. The flexible layer that is going to control what is going to be allowed to enter and leave the cell. And that's going to allow us to maintain this thing called homeostasis. And if you guys think way back when to, I don't know, a month ago, we learned that homeostasis, right? I told you guys to think home. And when I said home, I told you, I'm not talking about like the house or the apartment that you live in. I'm talking about where's your heart, right? Because I'm talking about a place where you feel nice and comfortable and relaxed and you're not having to like work too hard. You know, you're just happy, right? So homeostasis is like a state of happy for ourselves or our organisms or nature, really, organisms, all the things. So homeostasis is a relaxed state. It's not having to overcompensate or undercompensate. It's just in balance, right? It's in a happy medium. So like I said, the cell membrane is going to control, it's going to protect, it's going to provide a barrier. But this nucleus over here is going to provide like a second layer of protection. Okay. And that's because that DNA is so incredibly important. If our DNA gets damaged, well, we get damaged. Down to our very, very core, our most basic coding structure, right? So again, the DNA is super important, and so is that nucleolus, the little brain of the cell. All right, I guess we can move on to centrioles. Well, no, let's not move on to centrioles. Let's move on to rough ER. Okay, so the rough ER. Now, the rough ER is this purple pancakey with a blueberry looking thing, and this flattens sacs. So they consist of sacs, like Santa's sack of presents, or okay. Oh God, I forgot that I'm teaching high school students. Oh my God. Okay, these flattened sacs are studded with lots of ribosomes. They're not actually blueberries. I just call them I call them blueberries, but they are studded with what's known as ribosomes. Okay, and ribosomes are going to be really important for us to produce proteins for the cell. And again, think way back to when we were doing notes on the cell membrane, but proteins are kind of lined throughout our cell membrane in order to allow certain things to come in and certain things to leave. There's a lot of different control systems that they have, and if you guys want to refer back to those on your notes, you go right ahead. But again, proteins are one of our macromolecules, so they're super important, right? Okay, since we name dropped ribosome, let's go over to ribosome over here. Okay, so almost directly across. Okay, so the ribosome is going to be where what's produced? Proteins. Proteins are going to be produced. And it is found free in what's called the cytoplasm. Okay? And basically it's attached to that rough ER. Okay, so remember how I said RER? RER, look, rough ER. Okay, so some of them are going to be free floating around in this cytoplasm stuff. We'll come to this one next. It's going to be floating around here, but some of them are also attached to our rough ER over here. But again, they're super important because they help us to build proteins. All right, on to our cytoplasm, because like I said, it got name dropped. Okay, our cytoplasm is going to be this fluid, and I like to think of it as more like a, I don't know, like grape jelly or something. I don't know. It's not purple. I don't know what kind of peach, maybe? Peach jelly? Anyways, this is a fluid that's going to support and contain the cell's organelles. And when I say organelles, whoops, I spelled it wrong. When I say organelles, I want you guys to think of a word that is very close to this word. Think of it. I know that you guys are really, really smart, so I'm just going to assume that you guys did say organ. Okay, so your organs, think of like your heart, your lungs, your skin, your, I don't know, your leg, your, that's not like, that's not an organ. Sorry guys, it's way too late. You know what I mean. But anyways, organs are gonna, they're those important structures in your body, right? Well, these are important structures throughout the cell. So all of these little itty bitty things are called organelles because they're helping to maintain a larger body. Now that larger body, quote unquote, is actually a cell. So it's actually pretty microscopic, but they serve a very important function, no less. It's just kind of like a smaller scale. All right, so we did the cytoplasm. Where do I want to go next? Let's do smooth ER. Okay, so the smooth ER is going to create, oh, sorry. Let me move it down. Sorry. Okay, the smooth ER is going to create, store, and transport lipids. That sounds familiar. Let me talk about the other one too. Maybe you guys will remember. And carbs. That makes me think of something. What are those two things gonna be called? What are they called in that category of those big molecules? What are they called? Okay, macromolecules. Okay, macromolecules. Our macromolecules are gonna consist of lipids, carbs, proteins. Okay. Anyways, so that smooth ER, obviously super important. Lipids are going to make up the basis of the cell membrane, as you guys learned. And carbs, again, sugars are going to provide fast, quick, easy energy. All right, next, I guess we can move on to lysosome. So the lysosome is a small vesicle. And again, if you think back to that membrane transport foldable, you will remember that I told you vesicle. When you hear vesicle, think vehicle. And when I think of a vehicle, I think of, oh, we're going on a trip in our favorite rocket ship. And we're gonna go somewhere, right? So what is gonna happen here is this lysosome is gonna take the digestive enzymes on a trip to basically go ahead and break down worn out organelles. Why would we not want worn out organelles? I can't imagine if your heart was worn or no. That's bad. Let's say if your kidney was worn out, would you want it to stay in your body? No, get the thing out of here. We got another one in there. So basically, we don't want things that are going to go bad, right? We need to get rid of them because actually, if they go bad inside of our bodies, it can kill us. Same thing with the cell. If we leave bad things in there to just die and decompose, well, then we are definitely going to be compromising or potentially harming the rest of our body, right? So lysosomes have an important job. All right, I guess now let's talk about the Golgi body. Let's do it. Okay, the Golgi body is going to be, it's going to modifies proteins that come from our RER, that's our rough ER, and lipids that are going to come from the SER, so up here. And it's going to prepare them to leave the cell or exit the cell. So it's going to package and ship them off. Next, we can talk about, let's talk about mitochondria. So the mitochondria of the cell is the powerhouse of the cell. I know this is probably the one thing you've learned off of TikTok. JK, actually, TikTok's a great program to learn lots of stuff off of, as long as you're in the right areas of TikTok. But, also, you know what I mean. I like TikTok, okay? Anyways, the mitochondria is going to be where ATP is going to be synthesized in the process of aerobic respiration. Okay, now ATP, remember I told you guys there's ATP and then there was ADP, and I told you guys that ATP means that there's 3 P's or 3 phosphorus, and ADP means that there's 2 phosphorus. Okay, so ATP, we're talking about the charged version. When it drops down to 2, right, it's lost a P. Well, that P provides power. It provides energy. So we have now become kind of like a decharged battery. We've used up our energy. Anyways, that ATP, so that nice charged battery, is going to be synthesized or made in the process of aerobic, which means we have oxygen respiration. So let me put that O2 here. And if you guys think back, O2 is going to refer to oxygen gas. Okay, cool. We like it. We breathe it. We kind of can't live without it. We definitely can't live without it. Okay. And that's going to leave us with one very last thing over here, and that is our centrioles. Okay, so the centrioles, hold on, let's focus. Behaving badly, guys. There we go. Okay, so the centrioles are going to get formed from these things called microtubules. And I know, don't freak out. Microtubules. It's going to come from microtubules, and they're going to help us to make these things called spindle fibers. Spindle fibers in order for our cell to divide. So centrioles are formed when microtubules, they're formed from microtubules, and they're going to help us to make spindle fibers that will assist us in the process of cellular division. So that's going to make more sense here in the next coming weeks, but I don't want to get too deep in that. But what you should probably know at this point is that our cell, in order to replicate, it's actually going to divide itself. So this is going to split in half and then make 2 from itself. So centrioles are super important in that process of cell replication. Okay. All right, I'm going to zoom out so you guys can pause the video and copy whatever information you need. I don't know. I can't tell. Is that really blurry? Let me try to zoom in. That better? I don't know. It looks really blurry on my screen. I hope that you guys can see it. If not, I guess rewind the video. Okay, so moving on from our animal cell, we can get rid of that sucker and look at our plant cell. We're gonna keep him real close by because we might need him in a minute. So, hint, hint, wing, wing. Okay. Anyways, so basically the plant cell, right? It's still a cell. It's gonna be pretty similar. A lot of the organelles, at least, are going to be very similar to what's existing here in our animal cell. However, there are 4 differences that we need to discuss. Okay. Well, we're going to discuss 3 and you're going to figure out what number 4 is. Okay. So let's start down here at the bottom. All right. Okay, down here at the bottom, we've got 3 things that we need to talk about. Let's go ahead and do the same thing where we filled out the names, and then we'll come back to talk about what that means. So first of all, we're going to talk about what's our cell. Whoops. Cell wall. Sorry, I got really confused. I was like, cell membrane. That's not the cell membrane. I was looking at the animal cell, not my answer key like I should have been. Okay, sorry. So the cell wall is out here. It's this extra layer. We'll talk about it in a minute. Okay, next to it, this big swimming pool, okay, is called the vacuole. The vacuole. And lastly, the last thing we're going to talk about here is the chloroplast. The chloroplast, okay? All right, so let's start back from the beginning. Now, the cell wall, what does the wall do? It provides structure, and it's also going to keep everything from outside of your home or your whatever you're building. So same sort of idea here. It's going to provide structure, and it's going to keep stuff out. That sounds really familiar. Cell membrane job is. I think we spent a lot of time talking about it, so I hope you guys realize that right now. But anyways, interesting. Why would we need an extra layer of protection? Okay, so we have a cell wall, and it's going to be found outside of the cell membrane. So check that out. We actually still have the cell membrane here present within our plant cell. However, we have an extra added layer of protection. Honestly, me personally, I like to think of like a tree, right? Because the tree has bark. And if you peel off the bark, what are you going to get to? You're going to get to the most outer layer of that tree. But if you keep going, there's more layers, right? Well, we're just talking about the first 2 layers, but basically it's providing protection, right? The tree is providing protection. Well, the cell wall here is providing protection and structure, same thing as the bark, right, on a tree. Yeah. Okay. So the cell membrane outside of the cell wall is found outside of the cell membrane. It's going to help us to support the cell, and it's going to prevent it from bursting when water is going to enter our cell by osmosis. And why would we have water entering our cell? Think about it. What do plants require in order to grow? Yeah, water. Yes, of course. Okay, so we're going to have a lot of water flowing. We're going to have a lot of water flowing through these cells. So clearly we have to have a pretty good management system because we don't want to explode because we have too much water, right? And that's something that is entirely risk within a plant cell, hence the need for a cell wall. Okay, next, the vacuole. So the vacuole is another large sac that is used for storage. Okay, storage, and it's going to contain the cell sap, so like tree sap, and it's going to help to keep the cell turgid. I have a feeling that this is probably like a European word, but I think turgid is going to refer to rigid or like, like a tree, right? Like a tree is going to be like a nice, reliable structure that doesn't really move a whole lot. So I think that's what turgid means. We're gonna call that rigid because I don't know about you, but I don't know what the heck turgid is. If you guys know, please let me know. Okay, I'm totally gonna go look it up in the dictionary right after this. But anyways, okay. Lastly, we have chloroplast, and a chloroplast. Look at the little guys with the little pancake stacks. The chloroplast is gonna be where the process of photosynthesis. Where the process of photosynthesis is going to take place. It's going to contain this green pigment that actually gives leaves their color, and called chlorophyll. Chloro. In order to absorb light for the process of photosynthesis, because what do we require in order for photosynthesis to occur? Sunlight. We require sunlight. Very good. You guys are so smart. Sorry, guys. I'm just tired. I want to go. All right. Anyways, okay, fabulous. We did it. Yay. Okay, now I did it, I guess. You gotta go do it. So what you guys are gonna have to do, you see there's so much blank here, right? We can't just leave that blank. No way, no how. Okay, we're not going to. Well, you're not going to. I am. Anyway, because I have the answer key. Anyways, as I was saying, the structures that are going to be here in the animal cell are going to be similar to the structures over here in the plant cell. So do we really need to rewrite this stuff? Nah. But what I would like for you guys to do now is to go back to this animal cell and line up those structures. What does this one look like? Does that one look like that one? Maybe it's that one. Okay. Name the structures here in the plant cell. So I want you guys to be able to line everything up. Once you line everything up, you're going to find that there is one that did not make it over and not one that we addressed down here. That is going to go in this little thought bubble, which is asking the question, which organelle is absent that was present in the animal cell. Okay, so by process of elimination, after you guys figured out what belongs in every one of these single boxes, after, you know, comparing each structure, you guys are going to need to basically go one by one and figure out which one did I make it. Okay. And then that one's going to go in here. And when you are done, if you guys would like to color this in, of course, it will give you extra credits. We love colored notes because they're so pretty, right? They're just so much more interesting and fun to look at. Anyways, go ahead and color it in if you'd like. If you don't like, then, I mean, that's your choice, right? Clearly you wouldn't need extra credit. That's a joke. I want you to know that's a joke. Okay. So yeah, that's all I got for you. Bye.